Okay, so you brought us a really interesting set of sources this time, digging into the Four Seas Gang, FSG.
That's right. A triad society with quite a story behind it.
Yeah, looks complex. So the plan is, like always, let's unpack this, pull out the key stuff, and try to get a clear picture of this group.
Exactly. We've got material on, where they came from, their structure, leadership changes, even some specific incidents. It gives a good window into a group that's been around for decades and, well, operates internationally.
And Triad Society, just quickly, what does that generally imply for people who might not know?
Right. Historically, they're Chinese organized crime groups, often involve rituals, hierarchies, though, like we'll see with the FSG, the modern reality can be, well, pretty intricate.
Got it. Okay, so let's jump in. The Four Seas Gang, founded in Taiwan, May 1954.
Yep. And the founders, this is fascinating right off the bat, were mainland Chinese who fled with the Kuomintang, the KMT.
Ah, okay. So their origins are directly tied to that huge historical moment, the Chinese Civil War fallout.
Precisely. And today,
Mm-hmm.
estimates put their membership in Taiwan at around 10,000. So a significant presence.
10,000. Wow. That's substantial.
And it doesn't stop there. They've got a foothold, a pretty established one, in Southern California.
Right. I saw that. Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Santa Ana.
Yeah. And it's described as a direct connection, like a branch of the original Taiwan society, not just some copycat group.
So it's like a transnational operation, really, setting up shop properly in new places.
That's a good way to put it. It shows a certain level of sophistication.
And in the U.S., it seems there are maybe different layers. You've got this main branch connection.
Right, the constituents linked back to Taiwan suggests some level of central coordination.
But then there are also these smaller street gang factions operating under the same Four Seas Gang name.
Exactly. And these seem more localized, involved in things like alien smuggling, apparently.
Alien smuggling.
Okay.
And they wear gray. That detail jumped out.
Yeah, the gray clothing thing. It's pretty common for groups like this, Identification, unity, maybe a bit of intimidation too.
Makes sense. It's like a uniform almost.
Sort of. And these smaller factions, it's a common model. The big name provides the umbrella, maybe some support, while smaller crews handle the street-level stuff.
Keeps things manageable, maybe. Spreads the risk.
Could be. Maintains reach without everyone needing direct ties to the top brass.
Okay, speaking of the top brass, let's look at the leadership timeline. This seems, well, long. Starts with Big Feng. Feng Chiyu.
Yeah, Big Fang. Right from the start, 1954, led until 1962. That's a solid 8 years at the beginning.
Crucial time for setting things up, I imagine.
Definitely. Building the foundations.
Then there's a gap in our sources until 1971.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Nearly a decade.
Makes you wonder what happened then. Power struggles? A quiet period? Or just lost information?
It could be any of those. Gaps like that often hint at instability, or maybe things were just kept very quiet. Hard to know for sure with secretive groups.
True. Then we get Wyman, Lou Women, from 71 to 86. Another long stretch.
15 years. Suggests another period of relative stability, perhaps.
But then things seem to get a bit more choppy. We've got King Sai, Sai Kwanlun, maybe 86 to 94. The dates are fuzzy.
Yeah, approximate dates there. And overlapping with him, possibly, is Big Bao, Chin Young Ho, around 1990 to 94.
Overlap? How does that work? Co-leaders. A challenge.
Could be a power struggle, or maybe different factions recognizing different leaders for a time. It definitely signals something was going on internally.
A more volatile time, maybe. Then King Chao, Chao Qinghua, 94 to 97.
Right. And followed by an acting boss, Yang Quangnan, from 97 to 2000.
Acting boss, so filling a vacuum.
Usually, yeah. The previous boss might have been arrested, died, incapacitated, or maybe they were just figuring out who'd take over permanently.
And 3 years as acting boss suggests it wasn't a quick decision.
Exactly. Points to maybe some complex negotiations or maneuvering behind the scenes.
Then we get old Chia Junyan, 2000 to 2008. A bit longer again.
8 years. Seems like a return to slightly more stability.
But only slightly, because after him, the changes seem pretty quick again. Kid Cheng Xing, 2008 to 2010.
Just 2 years.
Then Young K, Yang Yupen, 2008 to 2012.
Another 2 years.
Then Diyun, Yang Tae-yun, 2012 to 2021. It's a bit longer, 9 years.
Right, a longer stint there.
And finally, the current leader, Cheng Sun-wei, took over in 2021.
That's the current understanding, yes.
So looking at that whole list, especially the last, 15, 20 years, lots of relatively short leadership periods. What does that tell you?
Well, it could mean several things, really. Maybe increased pressure from law enforcement is disrupting things more often.
Arrests, investigations.
Exactly. Or it could be more intense internal rivalries. Maybe the nature of leadership itself has changed, less absolute power for one person.
So less stable at the top. Potentially. It definitely paints a picture of a dynamic, maybe even turbulent organization despite its age.
Absolutely. The sheer number of leaders points to that.
Okay, let's zoom out again to the organization itself. The sources mention 86 branches.
Yeah, 86 branches. And a total network, including members and associates, estimated up to 50,000 people since the 50s.
50,000, that's huge. And the 86 branches, are these like physical offices or more like spheres of influence?
Probably more the latter. It likely represents a network spread across different territories, maybe specializing in different criminal activities. It's about reach and structure.
A really complex web.
Definitely. Building that over, 70 years? It takes organization. And it goes beyond just formal members, includes partners, affiliates, people pulled in for specific jobs.
And again, that Southern California connection is key to this reach. A direct branch, not just individuals.
Right, implying coordination, flow of influence, maybe money, people between Taiwan and the U.S.
Which must be a nightmare for law enforcement to track across borders.
Oh, absolutely. Transnational crime presents huge challenges. It shows they're adaptable, strategic, exploiting globalization, really.
Okay, so activities. We mentioned alien smuggling, specifically in Southern California.
That's what the sources highlight for their U.S. operations, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily L.A. and Santa Ana.
Any idea why those specific activities and places?
Well, L.A. and Santa Ana have large immigrant communities, major transport links, makes them logical hubs for something like alien smuggling. Groups often exploit existing networks and demographics.
Right, finding vulnerabilities.
And operating where they might blend in or find recruits or customers more easily.
And just to reiterate, you have the main branch structure, but also those smaller street gang factions doing this kind of work.
Seems to be the case. A layered approach. The big name provides cover or legitimacy in the underworld, while the street crews handle the direct action.
Could those street crews be doing other things too? Drugs, extortion?
It's very possible. Often these street-level groups have a wider portfolio of local crime. The FSG connection might give them status or protection.
Okay. Now, there were a couple of specific incidents mentioned in the sources. One was an arrest in Shanghai.
Yes, back in November 2000, a Taiwanese gang leader arrested in Shanghai, and the report linked him to the Four Seas gang.
Shanghai. So mainland China. That suggests their reach isn't just Taiwan and the U.S.
Exactly. It hints at operations or connections potentially across Asia. Underscores that transnational point again.
And the other incident, a stabbing.
Yeah, this one sounds more personal, maybe internal. April 1998, someone named Chang's son was reportedly stabbed in an elevator.
By a Four Seas gang member.
That's what the source indicates, yes.
Wow. That's brutal. What does that suggest?
It gives you a glimpse into the potential for violence, internal conflict. We don't know the backstory. Was it a power play, revenge, a warning? But it shows that beneath the organization, there are these raw, sometimes violent dynamics.
Even involving family members of potentially important figures.
Right. It's a stark reminder of the ruthlessness that can exist within these networks.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. We have the Four Seas gang, born from that post-Civil War migration to Taiwan in '54.
Right, KMT connection.
Grown huge in Taiwan, maybe 10,000 members, wider network, possibly 50,000 over time.
86 branches mentioned.
And critically, a significant direct presence in Southern California, LA, Santa Ana.
Yep, involved in alien smuggling there, possibly other things via smaller street factions. And they like gray clothes.
Yeah, the gray clothes. And the leadership timeline shows this long history, but with more frequent changes recently, hinting at, well, something going on. Instability, pressure, internal stuff.
And those incidents, the Shanghai arrests showing wider reach, the stabbing showing internal volatility.
It really highlights this contrast, doesn't it? This big, established, almost corporate-looking structure in some ways, with branches and history.
But also operating alongside and maybe through these much more gritty street-level factions.
Yeah, it's a complex picture, not just one thing.
Definitely not monolithic. It's layered, adaptable, evolved over decades.
So the final thought then, considering this group has been around for 70 years, operates across continents, what does that tell us about tackling organized crime today?
Well, it shows these groups are resilient, they adapt. Law enforcement needs that cross-border cooperation, intelligence sharing. They need to understand these complex structures, the links between the top levels and the street.
And for our listeners, maybe the question is, How do these old world criminal societies continue to thrive and change in our super connected, globalized world? What does their future look like?
Exactly. It makes you think about the evolution of organized crime. The FSG story is a pretty compelling case study in that, how history, politics, migration, and crime all intertwine across borders.